Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Chris Captures, and I wanted to do some super quick reactionary stuff to the Deadpool and Wolverine teaser trailer. This is an absolutely crazy trailer that we've been given. This trailer is full of Easter eggs and references to every single Marvel property out there, and also I feel like it tells us where the MCU is going forward. I'm going to pick out the bits that I think are worth talking about. I'm not going to go through the entire trailer, I'm not going to react to the entire trailer, but I just wanted to do some super quick, this is what I'm seeing from the trailer without diving too far into stuff. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that we have the return of Shatterstar and Peter from the X-Force in Deadpool 2. At the end of Deadpool, there was a deleted scene from the end, you know, when he goes back in time, in which he went back and saved the members of the X-Force. So these are the only two that we see, but I wonder if the Vanisher is also at the party. That could be an interesting little one. Will he be played by Brad Pitt, or will he just be invisible? Who's to say that he's not at the party, you know? So in the second movie, he wore the shirt that Chunk wore from the Goonies, and I think that this shirt is actually probably a reference to Magnum PI. I don't know why, it's just giving me that vibes, it's giving me very Magnum PI vibes, but Deadpool is known to wear a Hawaiian shirt quite often in the comic books as well, so could just be a reference to that. Also, this wig, woof. So the gatecrashers to Wade's birthday party are the TVA, and this is crazy. We are finally getting the streams being crossed, and here we have the TVA kidnap him. Now the uniform is different, but at the end of Loki we saw that the TVA had a restructure, so could have something to do with that. They also seem a little bit more militaristic, which might explain why he ends up fighting them a little bit later. Could this maybe be the Fox's version of the TVA, or is this definitely the MCU version of the TVA, or do they end up melding together and being something else? I don't know. But his reference to being pegged is a callback to the first movie, in which they celebrated International Women's Day and Vanessa gave him a big gift. This right here is what we want to look at. He is shown the MCU from the outside looking in at the TVA, and this is crazy. So we have shots of Iron Man and the Avengers from the beginning of Age of Ultron, and then we also have a shot from Thor Ragnarok, where Thor regained his lightning powers because he's not just the god of hammers, he is of course the god of thunder. And if you notice, in the bottom left corner we have another shot of Deadpool wearing a suit, and I recognise this straight away. This was when Ryan Reynolds accepted or gave out an Emmy or a Golden Globe the other week. He was wearing a suit, and this is from that promotional video in which he called out the Oscars and stuff like that, hoping to get a honorary VFX award because he knows his movie isn't going to get nominated for any other sort of award. So he was cutting out the Oscars, which power to him. So yeah, that's where I believe that video is from. There's nothing really else that I'm seeing. You've got the golden ratio in the bottom right, you've got just different waveforms and some red scale cameras and stuff like that. Okay, and then it cuts to footage from the Winter Soldier. You have Captain America versus Batroc the Leaper. You've got his final fight against Bucky on the right hand side, and you can see he's saluting America's ass right there. I definitely think there's going to be a reference to that again in this movie, because Marvel know how much of a meme that became after they put that in. And then we go to the desert, and this, we've seen from leaks, is probably a convoy of loads of different vehicles from throughout the multiverse. I think the thing leading at the front would be the Fantastic Four's Four-mobile, whatever it's called, like the flying car. Then you've got Red Skull's car from the first Avenger, and there's going to be some other things in there as well. I'm not entirely sure, I haven't seen all the leaks, I'm trying not to see too many of them. But that is what is going through the wasteland of a place that we might get a hint of in a minute where it is. Okay, so we get a bald-headed character. This is apparently going to be our villain. I don't know how people have figured this out. This is apparently Cassandra Nova, which is such a deep-cut reference. She is the twin sister of Professor X. I don't know how people have figured this out. Maybe it's from leaks or something, but you can't tell just from the back of the head. But apparently that's who this character is. And then we get a split second of Wade waking up inside, or sitting inside of a giant, like, T-Rex skull, maybe. I can't see too much in the background, but it looks sort of like a ruin or something. Possibly the Savage Lands, which is a popular X-Men destination. And then we cut to a casino. Now, the going theory, this is going to be Madripoor, which is where Wolverine goes quite a lot to gamble, and he takes on the persona of Patch. We've also seen him wearing tuxedos like this when him and the Hulk were bouncers in Vegas for a while. This looks like it's going to be a version of Wolverine. A friend of mine also theorized maybe a Hellfire Club. Maybe we could be calling back to the Hellfire Club again instead of going to Madripoor. Some amazing shots of his new suit getting suited up. A couple pats on the butt. Now, this forest location looks suspiciously like the forest in Sokovia around that mountaintop castle fort where Baron von Strucker was running experiments on the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver at the beginning of Age of Ultron, which, having seen the footage on the screens from earlier, it is a solid shout. But why is he fighting the TVA all of a sudden? Maybe he's decided to go off books from the TVA and he's trying to save his pruned timeline, maybe, so that Vanessa and everyone doesn't die. But this looks like that forest, especially with the snow coming down and everything. So one would assume, having seen the footage and then seeing this in a similar location, it's got something to do with it. Then, of course, we get the 20th Century Fox logo crashed. This is probably in the void. If you've seen Loki, you know when timelines get pruned, parts of it are taken and chucked into the void where Alioth lives. That's where Kang was sending all the things they didn't need anything to do with. It's sort of like their version of Chronopolis, where he cherry-picked his favourite bits. This is kind of like the opposite of that, where he just chucks the bits that he doesn't want. So these are all pruned timelines. Obviously, you get in the Fox cinematic universe, go in there, might find the Daredevil stuff in there, you might find loads of different stuff in there, Fantastic Four and all that sort of stuff. So this place is going to be littered with references throughout. Amazing action set pieces. Choreography looks amazing. I'm going to slow this right down and see if we can figure out what swoops the guy off his feet. Okay, so that is a purple cloud, so that is definitely Alioth is taking people and killing things inside of the void. There's an ice cream truck in the background. This could be a reference to the many times that Deadpool has used an ice cream truck. Maybe the cupcake van as well from Moon Knight. I'll have to double check that. Okay, so again in this scene we have a crashed helicarrier in the background. We saw that in the background of shots during Loki, especially in season 2 I think. We've got the skeleton of a Chitauri Leviathan as well. And then we have the Golden Gates Bridge, which I can't quite remember if that was in season 1 of Loki in the background. I'm pretty sure it was. But this now has a bigger significant meaning, having tied into the Fox Marvel movies, because of course at the end of X-Men The Last Stand, Magneto pulls the Golden Gate Bridge out and leads it over to Alcatraz Island so that the mutants can get over there to fight. You cannot tell me that this is not a reference to X-Men The Last Stand. It might be a location that we go to during the movie, because that might be a cool callback. So we see a room on fire, and then what looks to be the same setting, we cut to a shot of Pyro. So this is the same actor who played Pyro in X2. This is Aaron Stanford reprising his role as Pyro, who we have not seen for years. This is like a crazy deep cut reference, and his outfit looks more comic accurate. So he's got the yellow and the red suit with the goggles. Now Pyro's abilities work slightly differently from what people seem to remember. He cannot just make fire, he can just control it. So normally on this suit he will have tanks and cables going to a backpack which has obviously flammable fluids in. This might not be the version that we saw from X2, it might be another universe version of Pyro, but this is so cool to get the actor back reprising his role. He's definitely playing Pyro. You can't tell me he's not. Then we get Wade getting thrown through a wall, but significantly in this shot you cannot see what threw him through the wall or from where. So maybe they've left it out so that people aren't slowing it down and seeing something that they don't want them to see. Or maybe it's just because it's in such a blink of an eye. I'm going through it at 0.25 speed. He crashes into the 20th Century Fox logo, and then we actually cut away to what is a different shot. We know this because he's no longer propped up against the logo, and he is just on the floor, beaten and damned. This is where we get the juiciest bit. On the left-hand side of frame is the cover for Secret Wars issue 5. This is the cover for issue 5 of Secret Wars from 2015, and this is crazy. So this is our first MCU on-screen debut of Doctor Doom. We have heard that Doctor Doom is meant to be replacing Kang as the main villain of the MCU going forward, and it makes so much sense. So this definitely clears up to which version of Secret Wars we're going to be seeing. The fact that they've put this issue in with Doctor Doom on the cover which this is the issue in which we reveal how Battleworld was made in this new version of Secret Wars. It was Doctor Doom using the powers of the Absorbing Man, which I believe is what's being depicted on the cover here. Doctor Doom takes these incredible powers of the universe and recreates the world in his image, brings in all his weird twisted parts of the multiverse, crashes them all together. The Fantastic Four, he has Sue Storm as his wife finally, is living out his wildest fantasies. Ben Grimm is just a wall, like the wall of the Night's Keep from Game of Thrones, just keeping out the zombies from the bottom of the world is the Marvel Zombies universe. It's crazy. So this feels like a definite nod to this is how it's going to happen. Before we get Doctor Doom confirmed, I thought maybe they could do it with Loki, whereas Loki brings all the worlds together. I believe that Doctor Doom is going to manipulate Loki on the throne with some sort of big cosmic power and bring everything crashing together into a battle world, and that is how we get Secret Wars, and it's definitely going to be closely following the 2015 run rather than the 80s version of Secret Wars. Although we might get some callbacks, like Spider-Man might get his black suit and stuff like that, whereas this one had Miles Morales and Peter Parker from two different universes, because this was when the Ultimates universe got melded in. The fact that this cover is in there, it just sets up where the future is going. If you want to hear me talk about Secret Wars in a full video by itself, I will do, because it's such a good run, that run, and it is the blueprint for the next chapter of the MCU. Also, it has one of the most badass scenes, which I hope we get on screen, where Doctor Doom just rips out Thanos' skull and spine without like even a flick of the wrist. Doctor Doom is all powerful in this series, and he's crazy, and it's such a good way to introduce him as a villain. Have him in Fantastic Four first, and then just boom, Secret Wars, and then you know how powerful he is at all times. It's crazy. And then finally, we see the shadow of Wolverine. He seems to be joking with him a little bit more now, so is he the one that he's been fighting with straight away, or are they just having a scrap halfway through the movie when they are actually buddies together? But you see the claws extend, snicked, and then we get one quick flash of him in his classic blue and yellow suit, and nerds everywhere rejoiced. It was so good. I've got a feeling now that after the Kelsey Grammer Beast Easter egg at the end of the Marvels and the Professor X and Multiverse of Madness, they all seem to be the animated versions of themselves. This looks like the suit that Wolverine wore in the 97 Xmen show as well. So are we going to see continuation of that? Because that is also the only old cartoon that Marvel have decided to bring back online as well. So on Disney Plus we are getting a revival of that show, and they're doing a whole toy line as well for the Marvel Legends. It feels like they're pushing that, so this could potentially be a continuation of this animated show, and they're bringing those versions of the characters in, which will be super cool because they're all established, they're all a team, they're all wearing their iconic costumes. Maybe this version of Wolverine's going to die though, and we're going to get a new version, I don't know. But I feel like it's set up, the animated versions, to be coming back in the MCU, so I reckon that's the version that we're going to get, and we're going to get a few other different versions mixed in there as well, but that's the version that has been broken into at the end of the Marvels. Yeah, super exciting to just pick your brain and try and figure out what is going on, and then obviously we get the reveal that the film title is Deadpool and Wolverine, which means that Wolverine is not just a cameo in this, he is a co-lead. Hugh Jackman is in a huge portion of this movie, out July 26th, and I cannot wait. It feels like this movie is a mixture of Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe mixed with a She-Hulk story. I believe it was in She-Hulk issue 100 or something like that. It was her birthday or something like that, and she gets captured by the TVA to answer for like the crimes of breaking the fourth wall, essentially, which is what Wade does. That is Wade's story, so it would not surprise me if they just took the She-Hulk story and gave it to Deadpool. They both break the fourth wall, but obviously Deadpool's the one that people know to do it more, and it's getting a movie instead of a Disney Plus show, so it's probably going to be more widely viewed. So it would make sense that they mash a few stories together. Maybe he has to go through and kill a load of variants, so that's where we get the kills of the Marvel Universe. And maybe we get a breakthrough, and maybe it blends in with the Kevin robot that we saw, so he's going and basically like Or maybe he's in the Marvel Studios office like Ryan Reynolds was, and he goes and like confronts actual Kevin Feige. That would be crazy. In the comic books for Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, he ends up going to the Marvel offices and killing like Jack Kirby and like the writers and the creators of the book and stuff like that. So much could be happening in this movie, and this trailer already gives us so many hints and teasers at things that are coming. Chef's kiss. I cannot wait for another trailer. I cannot wait to get my bums in seats in the cinema and just digest it. If you want more stuff like this, please let me know. If you want me to talk about more comic book storylines leading into this movie, let me know and I'll do a full breakdown of them for you. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys soon.